I'm Colt Stevens from C. Stevens Gunworks, and today I have an exciting announcement. Today is day one of our YouTube channel, but that's not only day one of the YouTube channel, that's day one of our business as well. I have an exciting business plan to share with you on YouTube. I want to do something that I don't think has been done very much before, if at all. I want to give you an inside, behind the scenes, insider look at the firearms industry, how to get started, everything I've done to start a business from the ground up, and even more so in the firearms industry, which is notoriously difficult to enter, both from a government reporting stance as far as like 4473s, records keeping, the taxes you have to file, especially for manufacturing, which we've done before in our previous business, which is still ongoing. If you know me from other projects, those businesses are still going, but this is a brand that I want to start up unique to Sneedville, Tennessee. The other thing that I want to say is this YouTube channel is meant more for education. It's not meant to make money. It's meant to give the viewer a unique value proposition. I want to run this channel from a standpoint of transparency. I want to give you an unfiltered, raw look at what it takes to be in the gun industry. And also, this being a creative project for me, I want to exercise a little bit more creative freedom in how I do YouTube videos. Some of you might know me from the previous business, so if you're a returning viewer to this new channel, I welcome you back. But in the videos that I made before, there is an expected level of professionalism that I feel like I have kind of narrowly put myself into with that channel. This channel, I want to be less professional, more real, more transparent. Transparency, I feel, is the number one goal for this channel, and we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But above all else, I don't want to be fake. I want to give you, like I said, a real look. And that will include, let's say, for instance, product analysis. Let's say I wanted to order a product for this business, C. Stevens Gunworks. I will walk you through my thought process when I purchase a product. We will run a financial analysis on what I can expect to both pay for and sell the firearm or other product for. And we'll also conduct a market analysis of what other people are selling the product for, what kind of competition there is, what kind of turnaround time there might be for this product. And overall, I want to give you the whole picture about how a product is analyzed in this industry for, let's say, a store, even an online retailer. For a long time, we did exclusively online sales. In fact, that's what we do now in our previous business. That's what I do currently. Prior to starting this as a profession, I ran an eBay store personally. I also ran a GunBroker store personally, but now we are transitioning to a professional business model with the incorporation of a LLC. We'll talk all about that later, so let's not get bogged down in the details. So next, let's talk about me. So my name is Colt Stevens. I have been in the firearms industry for 9 years and 1 month yesterday, the first of the month. I started in the industry when I was 16 years old. I was dual enrolled as a student at Blue Ridge Community College in Asheville, North Carolina. I got my 2-year degree while dual enrolled in high school. I was homeschooled. And I did all this while working, kind of apprenticing at a small town gun store in Horseshoe, North Carolina. Eventually that store became defunct because we were not able to reach a purchasing agreement with the current owner. So we started the other brand pretty much from ground zero. We built it up, I want to say, is $25,000-$30,000 in wholesale inventory. That was our starting capital. We signed a lease in a small, I want to say, 800 to 900 square foot store. Really with nothing. We had not started in the gun industry before. We at that time had our federal firearms license, so we were able to sell guns. But we had no experience. So we really started the industry fresh at that point. We certainly made a few mistakes. Record keeping was not one of our strong suits back then, but we have now much more figured out a very easy system to manage everything. Back then, we didn't have a lot of experience with the product, and firearms, as many of you will know, are a very skill-intensive, knowledge-required industry. There's a lot to know about firearms. There's a lot to know how to be safe with them primarily, but also such as like what ammunition works in different guns, how to use different guns, accessories that go with guns like scopes. There's a lot to know, and there's a lot in order. You have to educate yourself to such a high degree to be knowledgeable in the industry, to make a sale and follow through for your customer, and really to provide value. Value is another thing I want to provide on this channel for you as a viewer, but also if you want to interact with the business as well, I also want to give you a good value as a customer. But like I said, the customer side is not what this channel is about, even though I will be walking you through how the business works. But like I said, transparency is number one. These kind of go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, I want to run a transparent and trustworthy business. I feel like in the last business, trust is something that never really happened, because not only were we make or break trying to get the store off the ground, but us being a new operation, we were kind of getting into the industry, so we didn't know a lot about the industry. You kind of had to fake it till you make it, right? And there's not really a better way to start in the industry. I mean, people would come in and assume that we all had knowledge way beyond. I mean, we had the store open for 30 days, a couple months. I mean, we were just getting started 8 years ago when we signed that lease. So how could we know everything, right? But you have to start somewhere, and I feel like now with this new business, we are in a much better position to offer both a transparent, open, and honest view of the industry, especially as a customer buying a firearm or buying an accessory from us. It's also not make or break if we have a sale. I mean, our overhead costs right now are very minimal because we run this out of our home. Pretty much the only thing I'm out at the end of the day is licensing, business administration fees. I really don't have to sustain like an employee. I don't have to sustain rent. Really anything else. Upkeep of the building, minimal. I mean, I would pay that either way. It's our home. So I don't really have to make money from this business at the end of the day, so I can provide a much better value to the customer. So moving on, C. Stevens Gunworks, that is my personal brand. That is our firearms store. It is an online-only store at the moment. I do plan to offer local pickup for in town in Sneedville, Tennessee. You might ask why I moved from Asheville, North Carolina to Sneedville, Tennessee, and that would be because I got married. I live in Sneedville, Tennessee now. Very small town. There may be one other store in town. I don't believe they keep regular hours. They certainly don't have an online presence. I have looked. So there's not really a business on the level that we're talking about here in Sneedville, Tennessee. I don't consider that such as like a monopoly. I just think there's not a whole lot of knowledge base in this town. So it's not really like a competitor in town, I would say. So that gives us a unique position to both continue the kind of business we were doing before and also continue and also maybe start up a local offering for customers in Sneedville, Tennessee, and maybe surrounding areas. I've visited some other places, specifically New Tazewell, or Tazewell as some people call it. There's a lot of gun stores, pawn shops, places over there, but they're all like local things. It's not an online store. It's not. It's like a local hometown kind of feel, and you might also see the dog in the background. That's another frequent thing you might see. Her name is Izzy. She is a standard poodle puppy. She will probably make an appearance in the videos often. But that's a showcase that I don't want this to be a super professional edited thing. You might see a dog in the background, the dog might bark in the background, etc. Things happen. I would rather make content that's real and honest than make it look professional and edit it for days to get content out to you. Moving on. Local competitors. Sneedville, there's not really any that I would consider at this level. I don't want to take away from other people's business. I'm sure if, let's say, this other store in town has local customers, which I'm sure they do, I don't want to detract from them, but online sales, that's kind of a whole different clientele. We used to deal in a lot of higher end stuff that takes a lot of knowledge. Probably the customers around here are more interested in practical hunting solutions, not anything really luxury. So that's kind of a different customer base, I feel. And I don't know exactly how many people might be even interested in that in Sneedville, Tennessee. But we will see. And I will bring viewers along for the journey as well. As I said, transparency is our number one goal. So what kind of things do we sell at C. Stevens Gun Works? So we are going to sell firearms, pending federal firearms license acquisition. I will talk more about this in the video that comes out right after this. This is just an introductory. Federal firearms license is the number one thing that you have to have if you're going to deal in guns. Otherwise, there's a lot of legal consequences if you don't deal with a license, especially if you sell overstate. You have to have an FFL. If you maintain records nowadays, that's a recent thing. You have to have an FFL. Just like having make, model, and serial number on a spreadsheet and keeping track of what you bought it for can be considered keeping business records and requires an FFL. If you travel out of state for a gun show and buy or sell, that's considered interstate purchase, which needs a federal interstate license. So an FFL opens a lot of doors if you're getting into the firearms industry, and we'll talk more about that later. So Firearms is the name of the business, GunWorks. Eventually we might offer manufacturing again. Right now that's not in the plan, but we'll see where this journey takes us. Ammunition's another thing we're going to offer. Right now we have some availability on that. It's going to be kind of hit or miss for the opening stages of the store. We can order things, we may not have it in stock. The other thing we're going to offer is coins, because we have a lot of coins. I personally collect coins. I also have way too many coins, so we will be selling those here. Something I don't sell a lot is precious metals, even though I have access to buy them. If you're interested in precious metals, feel free to contact me and I can get you a price on that. And I want to operate that the same way as anything else. I will be transparent about what I buy them for and what I will sell them to you for. Like I said, I'm not in this really to make money. I'm interested in giving you an honest transaction and being transparent. General sporting goods is another thing we'll sell. Maybe archery and things like that, but that's more like something we would order. That's not something we would necessarily keep in stock at all times. I don't have a lot of experience in archery. I have a couple of bows personally. I don't use them very much at all. Firearms are really what I know, what I've worked with, what I've studied. And so that's what I want to stick to. But I will have offerings for that as well. Something else I want to touch on, and as we're going through, I'm just reading my outline of all the things that I want to cover in this video. Like I said, this is not a professional video. There's a lot of ups and downs in the firearms industry in multiple ways. We primarily had sold guns on GunBroker and Guns.com. Those are really the big two if you want to sell guns online, at least. Guns.com especially has been a roller coaster of different ups and downs. Nowadays it's okay, but it's not the best experience. There have been some major problems with Guns.com. They, at least for new guns, practice price control, which limits your margin. They are not very transparent about how your guns are selected to be sold. They just kind of, as far as I understand, pick your name out of a hat and say, okay, you sold this gun out of a pool of people that have guns for sale, new guns, but used guns are a little bit different. Used guns operate just like GunBroker does, where you have pictures of the actual product, but they limit you to 7 pictures per gun. So, and I believe that's to save space on their website and keep their hosting costs down. They also had a really critical credit card breach in December of, I don't know what year. It was right after they started, within the first couple of years. And they were not very transparent about that. They were very hush-hush on what exactly happened and who was affected. We didn't have any problems with that I know of. I mean, we've had plenty of credit card fraud throughout the years of running the previous business. So who knows, our card may have been affected, but generally, let's step back for a moment and say selling firearms is very difficult in many ways. As I touched on before, you have to really know your product, especially used guns, the condition, the maintenance, physically what you have is extremely difficult to understand. If you are not a machinist, or, I mean, there's a lot of different skills at play. Let's say somebody walks into your store with a revolver or something, and says, okay, I want $500 for it. From multiple angles, you have to know, is $500 a good deal? If this was perfect condition, this is probably not perfect condition. What can I sell it for? Mechanically, I'm looking at it. It doesn't look the best shape. How do I manage this situation? So there's so many skills at play from A to Z on a transaction. It's extremely difficult. And that's just the purchasing side. Once you have the gun, is there a problem with it? Does it need to be fixed? Where are you going to list it? How are you going to get rid of it? How are you going to record keep and keep up your records? There's so much involved in this industry, and for such little margin, how could you make a profit? But there are ways to make a profit, and that's something we'll touch on later. And that's one of the goals of the channel that I want to bring you along for. And how do you make money in this industry? And the thing is, the key takeaway from this is, I think most people in the gun industry are not able to do this. There's a reason I think a lot of gun stores fail. The margin is notoriously slim. Let's say you only bought from distribution. Okay, your maximum margin is maybe 10 to 15% per gun. So let's say you bought a Glock for $500 and you're going to make 10 to 15%. So 10% is $50, 15% is $75. If you have $2,000 a month in overhead, you got to sell quite a few Glocks. But competitively online, people are going to undercut you. People are going to pay less than you paid wholesale to sell it. Let's say you bought it for $500. Somebody on GunBroker sold it for $490, selling it for $490. You bought it wholesale for $500. How do they do that? And that's something we'll talk about later. But how are you expected to make money in this industry? Especially, let's say, because your factory minimum advertised price is maybe $550. If you're only expected to make $50 on a gun and somebody's undercutting you, or the factory mandates that you can only sell a gun for a certain price, it's impossible. Why would you buy that product? You should probably buy something else. But on the other hand, if it's a Glock, let's say it's a Glock 19, that's their flagship model, you're expected to have that in your store. So from multiple angles, the company really has you in a tight grip. And I feel like as an industry, that's killing a lot of stores. And that's something I want to shed light on from our perspective. And that's part of the industry that's really bad, I think. That will kill industry, that will kill stores. Specifically, families that start guns that don't understand that are going to be the ones at risk. They will lose money. And that hurts people. I want people to not be hurt at the end of the day. So by me providing this content, I feel like that's a service to people. And I don't want to charge for that either. At the end of the day, I want to improve the industry and I want to help. And so that's part of what we're going to do with this channel, is shed light. Be transparent at the end of the day. Number one goal, be transparent. The only addendum to that I will say is, imagine all of these problems plus the government breathing down your neck with the government reporting the 4473s. It's endless. Not only are you at financial risk, but you're also at criminal risk if you don't comply with the reporting requirements and keep your record straight. And it's funny because the thing that immediately comes to my mind is, so people would have transfers sent to us because they didn't want to pay the price that we had listed on in-store guns. And a transfer is like $25, and they'd say, well, I'll go down the street and pay $20. So $5 less. But I have an employee, I have the rent, I have all this expense. How am I mean, the math doesn't work out. I have to provide for this store, I have to keep it up, right? And then we get audited, right? The ATF comes in, and that's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 days of them sitting there going through every record, pretty much disrupting your work. And people would come in and they'd see the ATF are there and they're like, okay, I'm going out the door. I mean, that kills your business for the length of time they're there. And the government really doesn't add a lot to, I mean, it completely kills the business side of the equation. Sure, you can make an argument, and I probably will when we talk about it later, from a safety perspective. But as a competitive tool, as a from the standpoint of the economy, the ATF is literally killing businesses with the reporting requirements. And so that's something we'll talk about later. So this video is getting very long and rambly, so I'll start winding it down. The number one thing, if you're watching this and you've made it this far, thank you for watching this far. I encourage you to leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the YouTube channel, the business, me in general. What you think about the project, what you would like to see. Like I said, I've done this for 9 years now. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot. This is the way I want to start this business off the ground. I want to promote a community that shares this kind of goal. Whether you're interested in firearms, the firearms industry, finance, running a business, you want to know about 4473s, you want to know about running an A&D book. Probably we'll have firearms lectures as well on what the actual product is, how the product works. A lot of that content is on our previous channel. If you search my name, you'll probably find it. I'm not going to link to it because I want to make a clean break from the previous channel and start creatively fresh. But reach out to us. I want to hear from you. I will try to respond to every single comment. You're welcome to buy things from us as well. That's not the goal, but you can do that. If you have firearms needs that I can accommodate once I have my FFL, which I don't have at the moment, or you have ammunition needs, which I can't accommodate at the moment, or you want to buy some coins, which I have many of, reach out to us. I will be happy to accommodate you, make a deal as best I can, and be transparent at the end of the day on achieving that goal. Let's make a transaction. Let's make a deal. And let's be kind to one another at the end of the day. That's what I want to do with this channel. That's what I want to do with this business. And that's how I prefer to conduct myself at the end of the day. So if you like everything that you've heard here, I encourage you to please subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment, send me an email, send me a smoke signal, anything that you like to do, reach out to us. Thank you for watching. My name is Colt Stevens. This is C. Stevens Gunworks, and welcome to the channel.